by settling into the recognition that attention no longer needs to be forced, corrected, or tightly managed. Over these days of practice, you have trained the mind to return again and again. And today's invitation is to discover how stable attention can feel when effort softens and trust replaces control. Sense the body as it is now, seated or resting, alert yet at ease, embodying a posture that reflects quiet confidence. Feel the contact points beneath you, the natural length of the spine, the balance between relaxation and wakefulness. Notice that awareness is already present, already steady, before you do anything intentionally. Take a few natural breaths and allow the breath to reveal itself as an anchor that no longer demands constant supervision. It moves, it pauses, it continues effortlessly, and awareness rests alongside it like a companion rather than a supervisor. Today's practice focuses on consolidating everything you have cultivated, allowing calm, clear attention to become the default background of experience, rather than a fragile state you must protect. Bring attention gently to the breath, not narrowing around it, but sensing it within the wider field of awareness. Notice how stable attention feels when it is inclusive rather than tight, grounded rather than strained. The breath is here, the body is here, sounds arise and pass, and awareness remains unshaken. This is the quality of attention you are cultivating now, resilient, flexible, and naturally steady. Begin to notice the difference between effortful focus and effortless stability. Effortful focus feels contracted, vigilant, and tiring. Effortless stability feels open, alert, and sustainable. Allow yourself to rest in the latter. If the mind subtly searches for something to adjust or improve, notice this movement gently and let it settle. There is nothing to fix in this moment. Awareness knows how to attend when allowed to function naturally. As the practice continues, notice that distractions may still arise, sounds, thoughts, sensations, but they no longer carry the same power to disrupt. Instead of pulling attention away, they appear as brief ripples within a much larger field. Allow them to come and go without interference. This is not indifference, but confidence. Attention is no longer reactive because it no longer doubts its own stability. Sense how this affects the body. Perhaps a deeper ease in the chest, a steadier feeling in the head, a grounded presence throughout the torso. Let the breath flow freely within this stable awareness, reinforcing the sense that calm is not something you create, but something you allow. Now bring to mind the idea of default state. A default state is what the mind returns to when it is not being actively pulled. Through repetition and patience, you have been training attention to return to clarity and calm rather than to agitation and fragmentation. Today, feel what it is like to rest in this baseline of stability. Even when a thought arises, notice how attention does not collapse into it. Even when a sound occurs, awareness registers it without losing balance. This is unshakable, not because nothing happens, but because attention is no longer dependent on conditions. As you continue, gently explore how insight arises naturally from stable attention. When the mind is not busy managing distraction, it begins to see more clearly. Notice notice how experiences arise on their own, sensations, feelings, thoughts, without requiring your intervention. This observation deepens understanding without analysis. You see directly that everything changes, and yet awareness remains present through all change. This recognition reinforces trust. Trust that you do not need to control experience to be present. Trust that attention stabilizes through allowing rather than grasping. Bring awareness now to the body as a unified whole, sensing it breathing, sensing it alive. Feel how attention inhabits the body rather than floating above it. This embodiment is essential for sustaining attention in daily life. When attention is grounded in sensation, it becomes naturally stable because the body is always here. As thoughts arise about past or future, notice how quickly they dissolve when attention returns to embodied presence. Not through effort, but through preference. The mind begins to prefer clarity over noise, simplicity over complexity. This preference emerges naturally through practice. Now imagine sitting in a busy environment, sounds, movement, activity all around. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, sense how awareness remains centered, open, and steady. Distractions no longer feel like threats. They become part of the field. This ability to remain centered amid activity is the hallmark of stable attention. It reflects a nervous system that has learned safety in presence rather than vigilance in control. Notice how this state feels emotionally. There may be a quiet confidence, a subtle joy, or a sense of ease. Allow whatever is present without expectation. Effortless attention does not require pleasant feelings to be stable. It remains steady through neutrality, discomfort, or pleasure alike. As the practice deepens, notice that attention now has momentum. Once established, it sustains itself with minimal input. If at any point you feel attention fatting, gently reconnect with the breath or body, then allow stability to reestablish itself. This is like nudging a spinning top rather than restarting it. The more you trust this process, the less intervention is needed. Reflect briefly on how this quality of attention can reshape daily life. When attention is stable, you listen more fully, work more deeply, and recover from stress more quickly. You are less pulled by compulsive thinking and more available to what is actually happening. This is not because distractions disappear, but because your relationship to them has changed. They no longer define your experience. They pass through a larger steadiness. As you breathe, sense gratitude for the capacity you have been developing. Not gratitude as a thought, but as a feeling of appreciation for the mind's ability to learn, adapt, and settle. This appreciation reinforces continuity. Stable attention grows stronger when it is valued rather than demanded. Now allow awareness to rest without choosing a specific object. Let attention be objectless yet clear, aware of whatever arises without preference. Notice how this feels compared to earlier days. There is clarity without effort, presence without strain. This is the integration point where focused attention and open awareness support each other. Focus stabilizes awareness. Awareness softens focus. Together, they create balance. As the session continues, occasionally check whether you are doing anything unnecessary. Are you holding the breath, narrowing attention, trying to maintain a state? If so, gently release these efforts. Trust the nervous system and the mind to self-regulate. Effortless stability is not passive, it is responsive. It adapts moment by moment without panic or fixation. Now begin to sense how this stability can persist beyond this formal practice. Imagine opening your eyes, standing up, engaging with the day, while this same baseline of awareness continues quietly in the background. You may forget at times, and that is natural. Each remembering reactivates the default state you are establishing. Over time, remembering becomes more frequent and forgetting less consequential. This is how traits